Okay, I've rested my voice for a couple of minutes, so let's see if we can get through about another 10 minutes or so before it goes again. Um, who knows? So anyway, we made this knot, and yeah, so we use the easiest circle to bevel this curve and create this object. But if we have a look at our curves, we've got very few options of shapes we can use. Yeah, we can adjust them, but it can be a bit limiting. So, what else can we do? Can we have like a complex shape to use as a bevel? And the answer is yes, we can. So, for now, let me just delete this Bezier circle. Okay, is this still a mesh? Yeah, it is. I should have Control Z back to I got that as a curve. Now let's have a look. Nope. There we go. I think that's a curve now. Yes, it is. Okay. So let me delete this Bezier circle. Okay, so we've got our curve here, and which we still have our control points and everything associated with it. Right, just for simplicity, let me reset the 3D cursor to the middle. And it's been that long since I've used Blender, I've forgotten the shortcut. Let me see if I can find it here. I apologise for this. It's Shift S. Yes, Shift S, cursor to center. So let's do a Shift S, cursor to center. There we go. And let me go to a new layer. Right. What can we do? Right, let's go into a top view first of all. And let me add some kind of a mesh. Let's add a plane. Okay. Now, what we will be doing is creating a complex shape here and converting it to a curve so we can use it as the bevel object. So let me just edit this. Let me subdivide this. Let me subdivide again. Okay. So let's say now, let's delete these. So let's delete those vertices. Let's grab this one out there. Let's grab this one up to here. Let's grab this one out to there, kind of thing. We can grab this one up. We can select these two and pull them down. Okay, they're very, don't know, some kind of arrowhead or something. But what I wanted to do is I want to delete the faces. So let me Shift tab, no, Control tab and face select mode. Let me select all, and let's X only faces. So we're leaving the geometry behind. Control tab. Now let's use edge select and get rid of these internal edges. So I'll select all these internal edges, and I can delete them, only edges. Just leaving this this shape. Okay. It is mesh because it's still made up of vertices and edges. It just has no kind of a volume or surface. Okay, so what I can do is I can convert this to a curve, the same as I did before, which was Shift C, no, Alt C, wasn't it? Alt C, curve from mesh or text. Okay, now if I edit this, you'll see we've got the path lines and the control points. It is actually a curve. So let me come back into object mode. Let me give this a name. arrow. Okay, and I'm going to scale it down somewhat. So S key to scale, and just scale it down a bit smaller. Okay, now if I come back to my first layer where my curve is, I can select my curve, and if I go to the curve panel here and select my bevel object, you can see I've got the arrow there. This is the arrow that we've got on layer 2. Okay, so let's come back and I'll select the arrow, and we now have this kind of complex shape that has been applied to the curve, and we can do the same thing again. We can Alt C and make a mesh from it. Now if we edit it, you see it is actually a mesh, and we can use pretty much any object. The only rule here is, let me Control Z back a couple of points. The only rule here is your bevel object has to be a curve. So you can create a curve from any mesh really, but it's worth bearing in mind that you need to delete the extra geometry. You just want this outline of a curve. For example, if I was to, let's turn this back into a mesh. You can go back and forth. Mesh. Okay. Now if I edit it, let's go with vertex mode. Let's select all, and if I was to add a face using the F key, this is actually a once again the name escapes me. Bigger than an engon, bigger than a quad, an engon, because it's got more than 4 sides. But now if I Alt C and turn that into a curve, there you go, the face has disappeared, so maybe I was a bit overzealous on that. Well, let's try it another way. Let's turn it back to a mesh, and if I was to add, say, a face there and a face there, okay, an edge rather than a face, but it's the same key, it's the F key. Okay, now I turn this into a curve. If I come back to this, this is actually a mesh, isn't it? So let's Control Z backwards a couple. There we go. You can see that this extra face and geometry has appeared in the middle, and you know, it's useless. We don't want that. It's going to cause us all kinds of problems. So really, we can come back here. Let's turn this into a mesh again, so we can delete these, and Control edge select, select this edge and this edge, delete them, only edges. Tab into object mode, Alt C to turn it back into a curve, and then if we go back to our object, Control Z, I lost it. What did I do? It jumped to the other. Let's select this. You can see that it's gone. So we can use complex shapes to use a curve on, and we can create some pretty interesting and pretty unique designs with it.